Welcome back, comic book fans. It's Rusty again with Collector Auctions, and here we are with another video from HeroesCon. We are in the middle of day 2 here. This is the second group. If you watched the last video, you know I just finished up with Jenny Frison, and I had a lot of books to get signed by her. And that's why that video ended up being very short on the footage, but very long on the presentation of all the books I got signed. Well, here we are after Jenny Frison. At some point at this point, I have gone back to the car. I've got my cart, which I've got 3 short boxes in. It's basically all the remaining books that I've got to get signed during HeroesCon. And I couldn't bring that cart to the show at the very beginning of the day. If you watched the last video, I explained why, which was I took that cart with the 3 boxes in it on day 1, and it slowed me down because I couldn't carry it down the escalator. I had to wait for that elevator, and that delayed me and put me further back in line when I got Chris Claremont, the very first signer on day 1 for me. I revised what I did on day 2, as I talked about in the first of the day 2 videos here, the last video, where I brought my small cart. I could carry 1 short box in there. And that was the idea. Do Jerry Conway, do Tim Seeley, do Jenny Frison, and who was the other one? There was another person on there. Klaus Janson. Yeah, it was Klaus Janson. I'm looking at my notes right here. Well, at this point, I've gone back to the car, and I've dumped some of the things that I got signed, especially all those Jenny Frisons, and I pulled out the other boxes. I've got the big long cart now. It's got 3 spots in there for the short boxes. It fits perfectly. I chose wisely on picking up that cart, and now I've got the rest of my books with me, and now it's going to be about starting to bang out as many creators as I can. So today we're going to cover the middle group in my day 2 adventure at HeroesCon. We start off with Jerry Bingham. We got Mike Barron, Greg Land, Art Adams, Aaron Campbell, Larry Welts, and Wade, I'm going to mispronounce this, Wade von Grawbadger? I have no idea how to say his name. All I know is there was a lot of people I got stuff signed by today, and then we'll end up with a third video to wrap up day 2 as well. But right now, hey, it's day 2, middle group, and I had just gotten back into the show, and I've got my big map, and I'm like, who am I getting next? I mean, I could go in 100 different directions. Well, not literally, but so many people I could go to, but it really comes down to and trying to bang out some of these books. So there's so many different ways I could go. So let's stop right now. I will show you some of the footage from the show. You'll get to see my experience with all these creators I just mentioned, and then I'll come back and we'll do this show and tell. So stay tuned, and I'll be right back.
One day I was in there, and the art director said, you know, we got this project. It's just a movie teaser for space, this movie Space Hunter. And I said, sure, I jumped at it. So I did, what is it, 6, 8 pages or something? Yeah. And I did it up, and everybody thought it was great. And 6 months later, I got a call from Columbia Pictures asking me if I wanted to work at Columbia or Paramount, I forget it. Asking me if I wanted to work on this movie they got going. It's like he said it's comedy, like Bob Hope Ghostbusters thing with that. And so I said, sure, yeah, no, send me the materials, and I'm in Pennsylvania at the time.
Oh, okay.
I said, I'll fly out, and it'd be great. And so I waited, and they never called back. And about a month later, I called them just to see, what the status was. I said, oh, we hired a local artist here. I don't know if you know his name, Bernie Wrights. I'm fired. I'm just starting out, and all of a sudden I'm pitched up against Bernie Wrights.
Jerry, how you doing?
Yeah.
It's good to meet you. Do you have time for a few signatures?
$1,000 a piece. Do you have a special pen you want?
If you want to do blue on these, it's fine. I want to get blue in the Marvel book, but whatever you want.
I'm just wondering if there's not a lot of room on these covers.
Yeah, they're very busy. Yeah. Ralph signed one of them yesterday, and he was like, he wasn't even sure where to sign.
Well, I can sign across the Iron Man, and it might show up there. Make sure it's working.
I appreciate the time.
That's all right.
Is this the first time you've been to Heroes? Have you been?
Third time.
Third time? I think the first one I ever went to was back in '88 or '89. I remember sitting there watching a panel with George Perez and Bill Sienkiewicz, and first question out of the moderator's mouth was, okay, to Bill, he said, okay, so how do you pronounce your name? And he goes, it's Bill. But on this, I filled this book up. It's got 30 years of signatures, and I don't want to squeeze you in, so I'm literally starting on these pages.
See my name anywhere in here?
I looked, wasn't on there, but they didn't have you listed, but I don't want to sign on that page just because I've got stuff on the back there, so I'm starting on this one now.
Okay. Just anywhere on here?
Yeah, anywhere you want. I've literally run out of all the pure white pages like this.
Oh, that's okay. It's just signature. It doesn't matter.
And then
Let it dry.
absolutely. And then I've got this. Awesome. Thank you so much. Mike, how you doing? Pretty good. I've got 7 here, if you don't mind.
Okay, yeah.
Y'all take card?
Yeah, we did.
Okay.
Hey,
Cool.
tell Phil to come say hey to us.
Got you in the
All right,
Marvel
pal.
book here, if you don't
Hello,
mind.
Thank you.
You do wherever you want. I'm going to end up. This page will end up getting filled up at some point.
I hope so. That's awesome.
Well, I've had this book for 30 years, and it's all the pure white pages
I love it.
are like
Man,
are filled. You know, there's Stan,
that's a great. Yeah.
but now the whole interior is nothing but, you know, there's no blanks. So it's like,
Right.
screw
That's
it.
great. Yeah,
I'm just going to do that.
you gotta put them somewhere.
And that one, I don't know. Is there silver working?
Silver. Let's do silver. I think that's good. Yeah. Did you say you wanted to use card?
Card, yeah.
How many you got?
7 altogether.
Okay.
Well, I love Nexus. I mean, back in college, I was in advertising and art, and Steve's art was very influential to me. All the first stuff was so good. Howard Chaykin stuff. And you might wonder, well, like, this is such a random issue. You know, it's not a #1. But this right here, Creed was always my favorite character.
I love that cover.
This is one of the battle between him and the Hammerman. That was one of my favorite issues.
Absolutely.
And then the last one I've got, you'll have to figure out where to put it on there, but
I see where it needs to go.
Where?
Get silver and go right there.
I could use this guy's M. Can I use
Oh, I don't know. No, don't use that. Look at this. That's his latest Nexus. Different artist, but you're welcome to pull it out, flip through it.
I've actually got it ordered. I just, you know,
Oh, okay,
it's been in the
It's
collection and
coming.
everything.
I got you.
Mike, it's a pleasure meeting you. Are you the end of the Greg Land line?
I think so.
Okay.
Hey man, I know you. I watch your show all the
Hey,
time.
thanks. Appreciate it. What's your name?
Jim.
Jim?
Presnell. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Yeah, we can put these in the back. That's awesome. Does he like it there?
He loves it. He lives in Cheval.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
No, thank you.
Wait, you said 14?
Aaron, how you doing? Can I get you to sign a couple of books?
Yeah. First one's free, then it's 5.
Absolutely. I appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah, absolutely. I was telling Tim, I've seen West of Sundown show up at my table this weekend more than any other show I've ever been to.
Saturday cosplay.
Well, that's awesome. I mean, this has been such a fun series. So, Larry, how you doing?
Good, how you doing?
Doing good. I've got 4 books if you don't mind signing.
Okay.
Cool.
$10 a pop.
Wait, hey, how you doing? You have time for sign some books?
Absolutely.
Cool. Got the big Marvel book here, so if you could,
How many?
I'll get 3.
3 signatures?
Give you that, and I'll give you a card.
Any place?
Anywhere. I'm literally, this book I've been working on for 35 years, so everything's getting filled up at this point. So it's like I had to break that out this weekend. So.
Am I in here?
I don't think so, but I mean you can check, but.
Nope. Someday. I aspire to be. You're prepared.
I've done so far up to this point. Jinx, don't jinx myself. I've only had one massive mess up, and literally I'm setting them on the table here, and I moved, and the thing went like a pancake, just flopped. But it was a foil. Ron Lim had signed it, and I was able to clean it off pretty easy without any problem. If it would have been on regular paper, maybe, but cool. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
All right, guys, I'm back. Hope you enjoyed some of that footage. Let's start off with Jerry Bingham. Now, it's somebody I've never met before, and to be quite honest, I didn't have a lot by him to get signed. Now, one of the things, I'm just making a note right in here, because I'm not going to show it to you on camera, is the big Marvel book. If you happen to see me get an artist signed in that book, just know that I've got this giant, big, hardbound book. It was called The 5 Fabulous Decades of Marvel. It came out in about 1992. It was the first 50 years of Marvel that I continue to get artists signed in that book. Well, I'm not bringing it out here because it's so awkward to hold up here, but that is one of the things you may see in some of the videos here. But so Jerry Bingham is one of those that I ended up getting in that book. I just don't show it to you on the camera here. But I did have a couple comics and a graphic novel, and I'll start off with the comic. I got two of these actually. It is Invincible Iron Man #5 right here, and Jerry did all the art in this, and you get to listen to him talk about some of that, I think, in the video there as well. But I also got the writer at the show, Ralph Macchio, actually signed it as well. And this, I believe, was my original copy that I had on my PC for many years. It's not the greatest condition. It's definitely going to stay in the PC. It's not going to be necessarily gradable, I don't think. I mean, I read these comics when I was a kid. This came out, I'm looking, 1982. And that was just at the very beginning. I was still in junior high at that point. And I was at the beginning of collecting. And I say collecting as in terms of, it wasn't like I had been getting comics for years, but collecting by putting them in bags and boards and things like that. They still were being read like crazy, but they were being saved a little bit better. Of course, over time, that habit of making sure your books are in the best condition only increases over time, the more you learn, right? Well, I had this, and I actually ordered a very nice copy online, and I got Jerry to sign both of these. I never made it back to Ralph to get this one signed, and I think part of it was when Ralph signed this right there, he took a crap with his red Sharpie on there, and it kind of left a bad taste in my mouth. And honestly, I'd run out of time to be able to go back to Ralph Macchio just to get the second book signed right here. So the very nice copy that's actually probably gradable is signed by Jerry Bingham right there. So I did get 2 copies of that. But for Jerry Bingham, to me, when you say his name, there's one book that stands out above the rest. You could argue with me, tell me I'm wrong, I don't care. But for me, the one thing that comes to mind is his graphic novel, Batman, Son of the Demon. And I had just ordered this recently and got this in. I've never read it, but it is the first appearance, even though it is Elseworlds, I guess, take. It's not necessarily in continuity, although Grant Morrison did bring in the first appearance of this character from this book into his run, which was Damian Wayne. And this is the Son of the Demon right here. And I'm going to go a little closer. It's really hard. Jerry took a crap storm shit on my graphic novel right there with a dried out silver paint marker. I'm going to tell you, if the next time I see somebody signing with a silver Sharpie, and if I can see it not throwing ink to begin with, I'm going to say something. It's like, don't use that, please. You literally took a fucking crap on my book right here. And honestly, I contemplated taking some rubbing alcohol, cotton swab, and trying to remove the silver paint. Now, if this had been just a regular paint pen that had messed up, I might have done it, but I don't know if I would end up destroying the book on this case. It is a paper cover. Problem is, this is also gradable too. This is a very gradable graphic novel. It was a very nice. It didn't cost that much, and it is a key first appearance. So anyway, I'm rambling a little bit. Next time, I'm going to go with my markers unless I see that whatever they're using is throwing ink. There was a in-person signing at Third Eye Comics with Chris Condon, who had a silver Sharpie, and oh my god, that thing was throwing ink I've never seen the likes of before, and those were great, and I let him sign everything with that one, but I shouldn't have let him just test out a pen. Like, dude, take a piece of paper and test your freaking marker before you put your pen to my product here. This costs money, and you literally are costing me money by damaging the book with your crappy signature. Anyway, wow, I just went on a rant. Anyway, but it was still very nice to meet Jerry Bingham for the first time. So there's that. So moving from there, I ended up going across the room over to Mike Barron. Mike Barron is somebody that I thought I had met in the past, but after seeing him, I realized I've never met Mike Barron. I thought he had been on a show at Baltimore many years ago, but apparently not. Steve Root has been there many times over the years, but I'd never met Mike Barron. Of course, you know him and Steve Root as the creators of Nexus. Mike Barron's written so many other things as well, including that Klaus Janson Punisher. He was the first writer on the ongoing Punisher series back in the late 80s for Marvel. And that's what I showed yesterday, in the last video from Heroes Con. Klaus signed that. Mike had signed it as well. But for me, getting books signed by Mike Barron means getting Nexus books signed. And I did have a copy of the first issue from... This is actually from Capitol Comics. It's not the very first appearance, but it is the first issue from Capitol Comics. And if you see right here, Steve Root had signed this last year at Baltimore Comic Con, and I got Mike Barron on there. And this is a copy that I may clean and press, but I'm keeping that in the PC. It is definitely a keeper copy. And I didn't want to go too deep on Mike Barron because I don't have a lot of other stuff that Steve Root had signed, only because his prices were so expensive. I cut down last fall on his books. But I did get Nexus, the origin, right here. It kind of recaps Nexus's origin, thus the origin. And I got Mike Barron on this, assuming that I'm going to get Steve Root at some point on this book, hopefully in the future. As well as this book. This is one I should have gotten Steve to sign, but again, I cut down on the books. It's probably one of my most favorite issues of Nexus. It's issue number 18, and you've got the battle between Creed and the Hammer, Judah Maccabee. Oh my God, what a great battle right there. Two of the best warriors in the universe, in the Nexus universe, and Creed is absolutely one of my all-time favorite characters. And this issue right here, awesome battle scene. Love the Steve Root artwork, and I love Mike Barron's writing on this. It's one of the best writers out there. Now, when you also think about Mike Barron, you also think about one of his other creations that's so popular, The Badger. And I had to break out my copy of issue number 1 of The Badger to get Mike Barron to sign that. I was so cool about that. I love The Badger. What a great character. And then lastly, now this book is still in the window bag that I keep it in because I'm not done with this book yet. But I did pull out Heroes for Hire. Excuse me. That's good. Heroes for Hope. This is the X-Men book. This is the benefit book for apartheid. And this is a book that I literally started on a year ago just as a fluke. It was a very nice copy. I think it's almost a gradable copy. Even if it's not a 9.8, it may still be in the high 9s. This right here, I started on this a year ago. And since then, I've added so many people. And honestly, I have no idea. Oh, there it is. Mike Barron signed right there in the silver. And I just go down this list of who I've added to this book in just the last year. I wish I'd started this years ago, so I could have gotten a couple people. I mean, obviously Stan Lee, but people like Tom Palmer, who's passed away. There's a couple of those in here that I wish I had gotten a little earlier. But we've gotten Chris Claremont, Mike Grell, Don Romita Jr., Charles Vess, Al Milgram, Joe Rubenstein, John Workman, Jim Shooter, Carl Potts. I got my list. I got my list on the back here. Let's see, who else? We've got Walt and Louise Simonson, Steve Rude, Howard Chaykin, Klaus Janson, Art Adams. Of course, he did the cover right there. Steve Englehart, Jim Starlin, and Rick Parker. And I'm just looking at some of the names that I can still get on here. We've got, that I can possibly see at some point, Bill Sienkiewicz, Frank Miller, Mike Kaluta, Paul Gulacy, John Byrne, I'll probably will never see again. Sal Buscema, I hope to have another opportunity. He's still living up in the northern Virginia area. I had a nice conversation with Ron Friends about him. So I hope to see him at some point. I'd hope to eventually meet Brian Boland, too. So I could get him to sign it. Terry Alston, I've seen many years ago, but I've never seen since. Bob Layton, I've never seen at a show. And then P.K. Russell, somebody else. All of these people I've gotten before. So there's always another chance I may be able to get them. But that was everything I got from Mike Barron, including the Marvel book as well. He signed that. And it's so cool to present that Marvel book to the artist and talk about the history, my history, of meeting the creators and how long I've been working on that book. So that's, again, I'm not going to show it in the camera, but it is that thing. All right, let's move over to Greg Land. I actually got him earlier on day one, but only on one book. It was one of the John Romita books. But I did go back for a larger batch here, and I'm just going to go through this. And I had talked about Tim Seeley in the last episode about HeroesCon, and these were the books that I did not get him to sign because honestly, I didn't care about getting Tim Seeley on these books. These are all about the Greg Land covers, and honestly, the book's not that important. It's the covers, and they were part of the Spider-Gwen, Gwenverse 5-issue miniseries, and you've got these variant covers by Greg Land. They're all of Gwen Stacy in different outfits. So first off, we start off with her traditional, normal outfit right here, and you see the Greg Land autograph. And then we got issue number 2. She is in that Night Gwen outfit right there. That was hot for about 2 seconds. And then we've got her in a Wolverine outfit, and there's Greg Land right there in the middle. You can see it right there. And then probably the most popular cover is this one. It is issue number 4. She's in the Spider-Man outfit, and I actually have extra copies of that one if anybody is interested. And then lastly out of this series was issue number 5, and that's probably the second most popular. She's in the Spider-Gwen outfit right there. Gotta love those covers. Now, that's one of those things, if I had known Tim Seeley had been signing for free, I might have popped those out. But to be honest with you, it's not a value add to me to add Tim Seeley to those books. But continuing with Greg Land, I got a couple copies of Black Widow number 1. Bill Sienkiewicz was doing the artwork on the interior, and I got a couple copies of those. And then a more recent book was Venom War Spider-Man number 1. And most of the time I like the Greg Land covers with the females because they look so good, but I really liked this particular Spider-Man cover right there. This is one I didn't even know he did the book until I actually opened it up, and it is X-Men, the original X-Men number 1. You've got this Ryan Stegman cover right there, but Greg Land did the art in the inside. And I was reading this, and I'm going, wow, I wish I'd read this at the time because it is really good. And then there are some books that other creators had actually signed, including Tim Seeley on one of these, that I did think was important. But we'll start with Predator versus Wolverine number 1. This is the regular cover. And you can see right here at the top, we've got Benjamin Percy, who came to Third Eye Comics a while back, and I got him to sign this, as well as some other books that you will see as well, including the next one here, which was the really good one. It is the Predator versus Spider-Man, the foil cover, the one that came out, and look at that. That is an absolute gorgeous Benjamin Percy, and then Greg Land did that in white as well. So that is spectacular. I wish I'd picked up additional copies of that book when it came out. I made a mistake. I should have gotten more of that. They ended up being probably one of the most popular covers for Spider-Man versus the Predator. But the one book I got Tim Seeley to sign was Rogue Savage Land number 3. Greg Land did the cover to that one. And because I think when you say Rogue Savage Land, the book is a very Tim Seeley book, and I did get Tim Seeley to sign right there, as well as Greg Land up there. So that was a pretty good batch from Greg Land, who's very nice. He will not be at Baltimore this year. He kind of alternates every other year. He will be at New York Comic Con, which I think is about a week earlier than Baltimore this year. That probably will affect the attendance for Baltimore this year a little bit, I would imagine, because... And I wouldn't mind that personally, just because it would probably cut down on some of those lines a little bit. But we'll see about that. All right, up next is Art Adams, and he's one of those very popular, like David Finch. They were sitting side by side practically, and it was hard to get to their tables. But late in the day, you had these big opportunities where it's like Moses and the Red Sea opens up, and there's nobody there. There might be 2 or 3 people, and you literally could practically just walk right up. And so I did that with Art Adams. And what we've got here is one of the newest books that had just come out a couple of weeks ago. I picked up was Giant Size X-Men #1. This is that new one where they're trying to integrate Miss Marvel into the X-Men history, which is fucking bullshit. But I didn't care. In fact, I don't think I bought the main cover. Well, maybe I did, but only because it's Adam Kubert, or one of the Kuberts did the cover. I didn't care for the Miss Marvel stuff, but when Art did one of the variants, at least he didn't put Miss Marvel in this. I'm looking just to double check, but what a spectacular recreation of his classic X-Men #1 cover right there, and I had to get 3 copies of that signed. So guys, I've got a couple extras for you if you're interested. Now, most of these, I've got extras on all of these, as well as ones I can keep in my PC. I might grade some. I don't know. We'll see. They're all really nice copies. We've got the Hulk #1. This is the Red Hulk line. And you've got this beautiful recreation, or a homage to Avengers 83 by John Buscema. Art Adams did a homage right here with all the female characters that are in this book. And I'm going to tell you, the art inside this book is fantastic. You've got Art Adams' art in there, but you've got a story in there by Frank Cho as well. So Frank is a Baltimore native, in this Maryland native, I should say. He definitely will be at Baltimore Comic Con. He's going to get signed. Hopefully I'll get to see Joseph Loeb at some point again. Jeff Loeb was there last year with Jim, well, not with Jim Lee, but Jim Lee was there too. So it was kind of cool getting some of that Hush storyline signed last year. But if I'd had this last year, I would have gotten Art, who was there to sign it, Frank to sign it, and Jeff Loeb. So I'll probably have to wait on the Jeff Loeb, and at some point he may come back. You never know. But where did he sign? It's very dark down there. It's here. Let's go forward. It's kind of down there in the dark on the Red Hulk right there. And then continuing with books that I got Art to sign, we got a couple copies of the new Fantastic Four #1. This came out, I guess, a couple years ago. The last run on Fantastic Four, I guess. But you've got this beautiful Wolverine illustration. You can see Frank's signature up at the top. And then I had a couple copies of X-Men 13, one of the most recent runs before they rebooted again. Was this beautiful Dark Phoenix cover right there. And of course, it's so light, you can see the signature pops out on there. And then Spider-Man #1. Got the Spider-Gwen covers right here. I got a couple copies of that. He signed on the boob. And then lastly, there were a couple more books here that other people had signed. And I can't remember if I showed it during the Chris Claremont signing. But I had Giant Size Annual #9 right here. This is Storm on the cover. It's a homage to the original appearance, the first appearance of Thor in, oh my God, Journey into Mystery. Oh my God, I couldn't remember. Journey into Mystery. This is one that I wish he would recreate someday. I think the coloring's way too dark. I think this is one of those things where I think if he did this illustration today, he'd make Storm a lot bigger, more central. It doesn't really pop. It's not one of my favorite Art Adams things, but it was a very nice book. And graded and signed by both creators, it can be a very nice book. We'll see about this. This is a book I will definitely check out, cleaning and pressing and seeing what I can do with it. And then we've got Fantastic Four 348. Whenever I get a really nice copy of this, I love to get Art Adams to do it. It's a beautiful artwork inside and on the cover. You got Al Milgrom, who did some of the inks on the inside, and of course this is a Walt Simonson story. So when Walt's at Baltimore this year, this is one of the first books that will be pulled to get him to sign as well. It's not the first time I've done the trio on this book. So that was everything for Art Adams. And I don't know if he was somebody I had to go back to a second time. I don't think so. But when you get to the day 3 videos, you're going to start seeing some doubles of people I see. You probably see it in the video, but you won't see. I won't present more books, I don't think. All right, somebody I talked about in the last video and I talked about today was Tim Seeley. And you saw a lot of Rogue, the Savage Land books. And you even saw the Gwynverse books that I didn't get him to sign. But one of his other big books that's an independent is West of Showdown. And I said in the previous video that I would bring these out because his co-writer on this, Aaron Campbell, was there. And Aaron signed that. And it's a little hard to see. Let me see if I can get... He used what I got to describe as one of the best silver paint pens I've ever seen. This thing through ink. I should have asked him what pen he was using because I would use this pen on everything. It's really nice. It doesn't pop quite on this color right there, but on the Virgin of issue number 1 of West of Showdown, look how that pops on there. I mean, this is spectacular. It actually has more of a foil appearance to the ink. So it wasn't definitely a silver Sharpie, but that was a great pen. So I kind of wish I had pulled more of my run of West of Showdown. I've got probably the first 7 issues of this, but I just stayed with issue number 1 on this because I did try to cut down on some of the books I took to Heroes Con, believe it or not. All right, so that was Aaron Campbell. And then I brought it to somebody that I have not seen in 33 years. I got to meet him up at Philly Comics Fest back in the day, and I got some of his books signed, but I never got these signed, and I don't know why, because I know I had them at the time. So it was pretty cool to meet Larry again after all these years, and he was very nice, and it really just threw me off a little bit because he's obviously a lot older. He wasn't that young back in the day, so he's getting pretty old at this point, but then again, so am I. You know, I got the gray hair here, so definitely got a lot older. Anyway, let's try to finish this up. So Larry signed those. And then lastly, out of this group, around the corner was a lot of the artists. In fact, in the same block as David Finch, who you'll see in the next video, Art Adams, and I don't remember the group that's representing all of these artists, but it was, and I'm going to mispronounce his name again, Wade von Graubadger, I hope, was there. And it's not somebody that was on top of my list, but I had picked up a couple books from an LCS that were of some pre-signed or signed books by Brian Michael Bendis. And one of those books, some of those books I picked up was the all-new X-Men #1 right here. And Bendis, you can see it in the purple up here, it was already signed. I think I only paid like $8 for this book. But Wade did the inking in the book, and I think it's Stuart, how do you pronounce it? Amon, I believe. He did the pencils in the book, and they look spectacular. But Wade did the inking on here, so I went ahead and added Wade, and you can see his signatures down here at the bottom. And it's a little harder to see. Bendis had already signed this, but very nice signature up at the top. And then issue number 2, they actually had a bunch of these series signed by Bendis, but I only picked up the first 2 issues because these covers kind of match. You've got the original X-Men here, and then you've got the kind of the new team over here. Beautiful illustrations. So Wade signed both of those. So guys, that is everything from this group of artists. I had a great time meeting all of these. As I said with Jerry Bingham, I wish he hadn't crapped all over my graphic novel, but everybody else signed really well. Beautiful signatures. Even when the paint pens were there, I gave it time to dry. No problems at all. Great time. So guys, if you enjoyed today's video, definitely hit that like, slap that subscribe, and click on that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of the future episodes coming up each and every week, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 8 p.m. All right, guys. The other thing I'm going to ask is definitely leave me a comment in the comment section below. Let me know what you think about the books I got signed. And if you're ever interested in anything, definitely reach out to me at the email address look at my eBay store, look at my Shortbox store, things like that. But I want to hear a comment from you guys. Let me know what you think about the books, and are these books you're interested in? These are books that you like or don't like. I'd love to hear from you either way. Anyway, guys, stay tuned for more upcoming shows. We got one more from day 2, and then we'll have several from day 3 as well, and we'll finally wrap up this. I'm probably going to put these on a regular schedule at this point, and then push back some of my CGC unboxings that I've already done, but I will just save those videos for a little bit down the road. We'll put that into a future date at some point and try to wrap up all the HeroesCon episodes. And guys, I hope you are enjoying it. But anyway, until the next episode, guys, just remember, every comic has a story.